Stocks are rising with the Fed back in focus. That's our top story today on the Wall Report. I'm your host, Greta Wall. The major indices have all turned higher in today's session as the market digests a fresh batch of earnings. Nordstrom shares jumping more than 12% today after beating Q1 sales expectations and hiking its full-year outlook. The retailer did report an adjusted loss of 6 cents per share on $3.57 billion in revenue. Now, that was a steeper loss than expected, but topped analyst revenue expectations. Net sales at Nordstrom rose 23.5% year over year and surpassed pre-pandemic levels, while Nordstrom Rack sales rose just 10.3%, but were still below 2019 levels. CEO Eric Nordstrom said the company has been able to capitalize on higher demand from those shopping for long-awaited occasions like weddings, and that higher demand did prompt Nordstrom to raise its full-year outlook. The company now expects 2022 revenue growth of 6 to 8% and full-year adjusted earnings to range between $3.20 to $3.50 per share. Now, Dick's Sporting Goods shares turning higher today and now rallying about 11% after the company beat Q1 expectations but did cut its full-year outlook. The sporting goods retailer reporting adjusted earnings of $2.85 per share on $2.7 billion in revenue. That was better than analyst expectations on the top and bottom line. But Dick's did cut its full-year outlook as the company struggles with high cost and supply chain issues. The retailer now expects adjusted full-year earnings to be between $9.15 and $11.70 per share. That's down about $2 from the previous forecast and lower than analyst expectations as well. Dick's did forecast same-store sales will drop 2 to 8% year over year in 2022. Now, Express shares are also rising about 7% today after reporting a narrower Q1 loss than expected. The clothing retailer reporting an adjusted loss of 10 cents per share on $450.9 million in revenue. That beat analyst expectations on the top and bottom line. Same-store sales rose 31% year over year versus expectations for a 26.8% gain. Express did forecast same-store sales will rise in the mid-single digits in the second quarter. Now, the company expects same-store sales to be up 8 to 10% for the full year and full-year earnings to range between 24 cents to 34 cents per share. Both forecasts were better than analyst estimates. Now, Intuit shares are about 7% higher today as well after beating fiscal Q3 expectations and hiking its full-year guidance. The tax filing software maker did report adjusted earnings of $7.65 per share on $5.63 billion in revenue. That topped analyst expectations on the top and bottom line, and that strong performance in the quarter did prompt Intuit to raise its guidance for fiscal year 2022. The company now expects fiscal Q4 revenue to fall 8% to 9% annually due to the earlier tax filing deadline this year compared to last. Intuit, though, did forecast full-year revenue between $12.63 billion and $12.67 billion, with full-year adjusted earnings between $11.68 and $11.74 per share. Now, Kohl's shares are surging nearly 15% in today's session on hopes the retailer will be bought out. Reuters reporting today that bidders are preparing to make binding offers. In its earnings last week, Kohl said it was expecting fully financed bids in the coming weeks. The Reuters report said potential buyers plan to lower their offers by at least 10 to 15% after disappointing Q1 results. Kohl's did previously reject Acacia Research's offer to buy the company at $64 per share. Some bidders have reportedly indicated they're willing to pay at least $70 per share. Now, oil prices are slightly higher today amid tight supply concerns as the U.S. enters its peak driving season. West Texas Intermediate crude futures rising about 0.33% today to over $110 per barrel, with Brent crude futures also up about 0.33%, nearing $114 per barrel. The American Petroleum Institute did report on Tuesday that U.S. gasoline stockpiles fell by 4.2 million barrels last week. Those stockpiles are now at the seasonally lowest level since 2014. And the French foreign minister also said Tuesday she was optimistic about the EU securing a deal to ban Russian oil imports, putting more pressure on supply in the global market. Now, U.S. gas prices hit a new record high for the 16th straight day today. AAA showing the national average for a gallon of regular rose to just under $4.60 overnight. The Energy Secretary did say on Tuesday the president has not ruled out using export restrictions to ease high gas prices in the U.S. Again, as Americans do enter what's known as peak driving season between Memorial Day weekend and Labor Day. Now, in the economic data of the day today, durable goods orders rose just 0.4% in April. Now, that was lower than economist expectations for a 0.7% increase and is the second weakest reading in 7 months. Durable goods are items meant to last 3 months or more. Another measure of factory conditions in the U.S., core capital equipment orders rose just 0.3% in April, down sharply from 1.1% in March. The U.S. manufacturers are continuing to struggle with rising costs, supply chain shortages, and a labor shortage. And meantime, mortgage demand did fall for the second straight week, even as rates did cool down a bit. The Mortgage Bankers Association saying purchase applications were flat on a weekly basis and down 16% compared to a year ago. Refinance applications, meantime, fell 2% weekly and plunged 75% year over year. The average 30-year contract mortgage rate did dip to 5.46% from 5.49% in the previous week. And now the focus is on the Fed. The bank is set to release the minutes of its May meeting at 2 p.m. Eastern. Traders are looking for more insight into the discussion around larger rate hikes. The bank did raise rates by 0.5% in May, and Fed Chair Jerome Powell later told reporters that even larger hikes, 0.75%, were not under consideration at that time. CME Group's FedWatch tool shows 93.3% of traders expect another 0.5% rate hike in June, while 6.7%, small percentage, but some, are still expecting a 0.75% hike. And be sure you're subscribed to my daily newsletter, Coffee with Greta, to get details on those minutes and the latest earnings reports ahead of the market open tomorrow morning. There's a link in the description box to sign up now. And I'll see you back here for the Wall Report. Give this video a like before you go.